Every morning is an invitation, a chance to start fresh, to shape the day with intention, and to set the tone for everything that follows. The first words we say to ourselves can either lift us, energize us, and focus us, or they can drain us, scatter our energy, anchor us to doubt. Today, I want to share 5 things to say to yourself every morning. Words that hold the power to transform your mindset, ignite your energy, and guide your actions. The first thing to say is, I am grateful for today. Gratitude is not just a polite gesture or a fleeting thought. It is a force that shapes perception and fuels life. When you begin the day by acknowledging what you already have, the air you breathe, the people who care, the opportunities before you, you activate a current of energy that propels you forward. Gratitude shifts attention from lack to abundance, from complaint to appreciation, from fear to optimism. Each moment of recognition strengthens resilience, sharpens focus, and reminds the mind and body that life, in all its complexity, is rich with possibility. Gratitude is not passive, it is active energy, spark that ignites motivation and joy. The second affirmation is, I trust myself to handle whatever comes. Self-belief is the quiet architect of reality. What we think we can or cannot do shapes the choices we make, the risks we take, and the way we respond to challenges. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It is faith in your ability to navigate uncertainty, adapt, and grow. Each day, circumstances will test you. Life will demand decisions, resilience, and courage. By affirming your capacity to meet these demands, you strengthen confidence, enhance focus, and prepare the mind to act decisively. Self-belief transforms hesitation into action, fear into opportunity, and potential into tangible outcomes. It shapes not only perception but reality itself. The third thing to say is, I am here to grow, not to be perfect. Perfection is an illusion, a mirage that steals energy, creativity, and momentum. Growth, on the other hand, is real, measurable, and within your reach. Every mistake, every effort, every step forward, even if flawed, contributes to progress. By focusing on growth instead of flawlessness, you free yourself from paralysis, embrace learning, and cultivate resilience. Life becomes a series of opportunities to improve, explore, and expand rather than a series of tests to pass. Growth values effort over outcome, curiosity over judgment, and persistence over fear. By saying this to yourself each morning, you remind your mind to prioritize development, creativity, and courage over the unrealistic standard of perfection. The fourth affirmation is, I release what I cannot control. Life will always present challenges beyond our influence, circumstances we cannot change, and people whose actions may disappoint or hurt us. Holding on to anger, resentment, or regret drains energy, clouds judgment, and limits potential. Forgiveness and release are acts of self-liberation. By letting go of what is beyond your control, you reclaim energy, sharpen focus, and create mental space for productive action. Release does not mean ignoring reality or denying harm. It means choosing freedom over bondage, clarity over chaos, and presence over fixation on the past. Each morning, repeating this affirmation is a declaration that your attention and energy are yours to direct, not stolen by circumstance. The fifth and final thing to say is, I will act with intention and purpose. Thoughts and words shape perception, but action shapes destiny. The energy invested in deliberate, purposeful effort compounds over time, creating momentum, mastery, and meaningful outcomes. Intentional action requires focus, courage, and clarity. Each choice, each step, and each effort becomes a building block toward the life you want to create. By affirming your commitment to purposeful action each morning, you align your energy with vision, effort with meaning, and intention with impact. Small, consistent actions, guided by purpose, will eventually produce results far beyond what scattered or reactive effort could achieve. Destiny is not luck, it is created by deliberate, repeated action guided by conscious choice. These 5 statements, gratitude, self-belief, growth over perfection, release, and intentional action, are more than words. They are tools, practices, and commitments that transform the way you experience life. Saying them aloud or even quietly in your mind creates a foundation for energy, focus, and resilience. Each morning, they anchor you in abundance, courage, learning, freedom, and purpose. They remind you that the power to shape your day and ultimately your life lies within you. When you speak these words, you are choosing clarity over chaos, confidence over doubt, and momentum over hesitation. You are setting the tone for the hours ahead, priming your mind to act with energy, conviction, and intentionality. Life does not wait for permission, and opportunities do not linger indefinitely. The mornings you claim with these affirmations become the days you live fully, decisions you make, and the outcomes you create. Energy follows attention, and attention follows intention. By starting each day with these declarations, you ignite the fire of possibility, prepare for challenge, and step into the world fully present, fully engaged, and fully empowered. Gratitude is often spoken of as a simple practice, a polite thank you, or a fleeting acknowledgement of a kind gesture, yet it is far more than that. Gratitude is a force that transforms perception, shapes experience, and fuels the very energy we carry into each day. It is not merely an emotion, it is a lens through which life becomes brighter, heavier burdens feel lighter, and ordinary moments reveal extraordinary depth. When we cultivate gratitude consciously, it ignites a current of energy that carries through our thoughts, our actions, and even our physical being. To awaken to gratitude in the morning is to awaken fully to the potential of the day, to the possibility that each encounter, each challenge, each small joy can be a source of life and motivation rather than mere routine. Many of us underestimate the power of gratitude because it often seems passive. We think of it as reactive, something that happens when life gives us something pleasing, when circumstances are favorable. But true gratitude is proactive. It is a deliberate choice to recognize value in what is rather than what is absent. When we begin the day acknowledging the things we have, a warm bed, the air we breathe, the people who support us, we shift our internal dialogue. We move from a mindset that scans for lack to a mindset that celebrates abundance. This shift in perspective is not trivial, it is transformative. The human brain responds to gratitude with measurable physiological and psychological effects. Have shown that those who regularly practice gratitude experience increased levels of dopamine and serotonin, chemicals in the brain responsible for feelings of joy and contentment. Our body literally rewards grateful thinking with energy, mood elevation, and improved focus, creating a positive feedback loop that strengthens resilience. Gratitude's power lies not only in its impact on mood, but in its effect on relationships. When we cultivate gratitude, we begin to notice the small acts of kindness that often go overlooked. A colleague holding the door, a friend sending an unexpected message. Family members' quiet support. These moments, when acknowledged and appreciated, become sparks that light up our social connections. Gratitude creates a ripple effect. Expressing appreciation strengthens bonds, invites reciprocity, and fosters a sense of belonging that energizes the human spirit. When we approach others with recognition and acknowledgement, we participate in a subtle but profound exchange of energy, reinforcing the idea that life is abundant and shared rather than scarce and isolated. Energy sparked by gratitude is not simply emotional, it translates into action. When we recognize the blessings we already have, we become more motivated to protect, enhance, and build upon them. Gratitude provides the fuel for effort and perseverance because it reminds us that the world is worth engaging with. A person who rises in the morning and silently lists the things they are thankful for is preparing their mind to tackle challenges with an optimistic orientation. Gratitude reduces the mental clutter of complaint, jealousy, and frustration, replacing them with clarity and purpose. This clarity transforms fatigue into vigor, indecision into decisiveness, and hesitation into proactive steps toward goals. Each acknowledgement of value acts like a charge, a small current that accumulates into sustained energy over time, creating momentum for meaningful work, creative expression, and meaningful connections. Moreover, gratitude has a unique relationship with adversity. It is easy to feel grateful when life is smooth, when the sun shines and circumstances align. True power of gratitude emerges when it is applied in moments of difficulty, when energy seems scarce and challenges threaten to overwhelm. Recognizing even the smallest elements of support, learning, or survival in these moments becomes a lifeline. Gratitude in adversity does not deny pain or hardship. Rather, it reframes the experience, providing perspective and illumination in darkness. It allows the mind to focus not solely on what has been lost or what is missing, but on what remains, on what can be leveraged, and on what lessons can be drawn. In this way, gratitude is a reservoir of resilience, a source of energy that carries us through trials and turns obstacles into opportunities for growth and insight. The practice of gratitude can be cultivated in simple, deliberate ways. One need not wait for monumental experiences to express thankfulness. Morning reflection, journaling, mindful acknowledgement of a loved one, or even a conscious breath of appreciation for life itself can be sufficient. Each recognition, each mental note of appreciation primes the body and mind to receive more energy, more inspiration, and more engagement. Gratitude encourages a shift from scarcity thinking, the notion that there is never enough, to abundance thinking. The awareness that life is filled with resources, connections, and moments of beauty, often unnoticed until attention is given. This awareness is energizing. It releases tension rooted in comparison and lack, replacing it with a sense of wholeness and capacity. When gratitude becomes a habit, it shapes identity and perception. The individual who consistently notices and affirms value experiences a sustained vitality that influences decisions, behavior, and even physical health. Energy cultivated through gratitude is not fleeting or dependent on external stimuli. It is self-generated, originating from the alignment of recognition, appreciation, and conscious focus. People often report that those who practice gratitude feel more awake, more engaged, and more capable of handling the unpredictability of life. Energy that is sparked internally through appreciation is more stable and resilient than energy driven solely by external validation. And it transforms ordinary experiences into sources of inspiration, learning, and motivation. Gratitude also nurtures creativity. By recognizing the richness of life, the small details, and the interconnectedness of experiences, we open the mind to possibilities. Energy derived from gratitude allows imagination to flourish because it is grounded in awareness rather than distraction. The mind that appreciates is alert to patterns, solutions, and beauty. It sees opportunity rather than limitation. In this way, gratitude fuels innovation, personal growth, and fulfillment. It is not a passive sentiment, but a dynamic source of energy that propels thought, action, and connection. The physical impact of gratitude cannot be overstated. Those who engage in daily gratitude practices often report lower stress levels, improved sleep, and enhanced overall well-being. Consumes energy, creating tension that diminishes productivity, creativity, and focus. Gratitude interrupts the cycle of worry and depletion by redirecting attention to abundance and value. In this way, gratitude does not merely feel good. It invigorates, restores, and sustains energy in tangible, measurable ways. Each recognition of the positives in life acts as a gentle but persistent current, charging the mind and body for the tasks, challenges, opportunities ahead. By integrating gratitude into daily routines, the energy it generates accumulates. Over time, a grateful mindset becomes self-reinforcing. One acknowledgement leads to another, one act of recognition leads to further awareness, and a steady flow of energy is maintained. This is why gratitude is not a fleeting practice, but a lifelong habit. One that consistently ignites energy, shapes perception, enhances relationships, and fuels engagement with the world. It is the quiet engine that drives human vitality, resilience, and joy, converting the ordinary into extraordinary, the mundane into meaningful, and the routine into a deliberate and energized way of living. Self-belief is the quiet architect of our lives, the invisible force that determines how we perceive the world, how we navigate challenges, and how we seize opportunities. It is not something inherited, nor is it dependent on external validation. It is cultivated from within, shaped by our choices, our reflections, and the stories we tell ourselves each day. When a person truly believes in their capacity to act, adapt, and to succeed, reality begins to shift around them. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become opportunities for growth. Risks are seen as steps toward achievement rather than threats, and setbacks transform into lessons that strengthen resolve. Self-belief is not mere optimism. It is a conviction that informs action, molds perception, and ultimately shapes the tangible outcomes of life. The mind is an interpretive lens, and what we believe about ourselves colors every experience. If we approach the world with doubt, hesitation, and fear of inadequacy, we unconsciously limit our choices and opportunities. We read potential obstacles as immovable barriers, opportunities as unattainable, and our own abilities as insufficient. In contrast, self-belief reframes perception. It allows us to see potential where others see limitation, to recognize possibilities where uncertainty looms, and to trust in our capacity to respond creatively and effectively. Every act of self-belief reinforces itself, forming a feedback loop that strengthens both mindset and action. The belief in our own abilities becomes the foundation upon which decisions, strategies, and achievements are built, guiding us toward outcomes that might otherwise have seemed impossible. Belief is not about arrogance or inflated ego. It is about clarity, confidence, and grounded understanding of one's capabilities. It begins with self-awareness, the honest recognition of strengths and weaknesses, of experiences that have shaped skill and insight, and of the inherent value each individual carries. When we acknowledge our skills, our past accomplishments, and our capacity for learning, we create a reservoir of confidence that can be drawn upon in times of uncertainty. This confidence manifests not as rigidity but as adaptability. Believing in ourselves allows for calculated risk-taking, informed experimentation, and a willingness to step into situations where growth occurs outside of comfort zones. Those who cultivate self-belief are more likely to embrace challenges, persist through difficulty, and pursue goals that align with their highest potential. The relationship between belief and action is inseparable. When we truly believe in our ability to affect change, we act differently. The person who doubts their capacity hesitates, second guesses, and retreats at the first sign of challenge. The person who believes acts decisively, with intention and focus, harnessing energy to overcome obstacles rather than being paralyzed by them. This is why self-belief shapes reality. Actions driven by conviction yield results, and results reinforce belief. Every small success, every milestone achieved, Every challenge navigated successfully becomes evidence that strengthens confidence. The mind internalizes these experiences, gradually constructing a sense of competence and capability that transforms how we engage with the world. Self-belief also impacts resilience. Life is unpredictable, filled with setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. It is easy to succumb to discouragement, to see obstacles as proof of inadequacy. Self-belief provides an anchor during these moments. When we trust our ability to learn, adapt, and persevere, we approach failure not as a verdict, but as a lesson. Each setback becomes a step, each mistake a source of insight, each disappointment a chance to reassess and redirect. In this way, self-belief fuels endurance, allowing individuals to maintain momentum and pursue long-term goals despite temporary challenges. The person who believes in themselves does not crumble in the face of difficulty. They harness the experience, adjust strategy, and continue forward with renewed determination. Belief in oneself also shapes the way others respond. Confidence and self-assurance are magnetic. They inspire trust, respect, and collaboration. When we believe in our own capacity, others are more likely to believe in us as well. This creates a network of support, opportunity, influence that amplifies outcomes. Self-belief is contagious in its subtlety. Those around us pick up on conviction and competence, respond positively, and often offer opportunities to match the energy projected. This does not mean that belief guarantees success, but it dramatically influences the trajectory of interactions, relationships, and possibilities. By shaping perception and behavior, self-belief alters the environment, turning obstacles into manageable challenges and uncertainty into potential. Cultivating self-belief requires deliberate practice. It begins with thought, with the internal dialogue that shapes self-perception. Negative, self-critical thoughts erode confidence and limit action, while affirmations of ability, recognition of past success, and conscious focus on growth build it. Visualization is another powerful tool. Imagining success, rehearsing scenarios mentally, and anticipating challenges with confidence strengthens neural pathways that prepare the mind for actual achievement. Daily reflection on accomplishments, no matter how small, reinforces capability, while mindfulness allows individuals to observe doubt without succumbing to it. Over time, these practices create a sturdy foundation of belief that endures beyond fleeting moods, external criticism, or transient failures. Belief in oneself is not static. It evolves with experience, reflection, and effort. It is reinforced by knowledge, by skill, by the accumulation of evidence that one can navigate life's complexities successfully. It is strengthened when challenges are embraced, not avoided, and when persistence is chosen over retreat. The person who cultivates self-belief learns to interpret setbacks as temporary, opportunities as achievable, and their own potential as expansive rather than limited. This mindset transforms how we engage with reality, shaping our decisions, actions, and interactions in ways that create tangible outcomes aligned with intention and aspiration. Practical manifestations of self-belief are visible in every area of life. In careers, it allows for initiative, leadership, and innovation. In education, it encourages curiosity, experimentation, and mastery. In relationships, it enables authenticity, vulnerability, and meaningful connection. Belief is the energy that fuels consistent effort, perseverance, and courage. It is not a guarantee that the path will be smooth, but it ensures that the journey is approached with purpose, resilience, and clarity. It is the quiet power behind decisions, the steady force behind ambition, and the enduring companion in the pursuit of meaningful goals. Belief also encourages alignment between intention and action. When belief is present, decisions are made with integrity, Effort is applied strategically and attention is focused on what truly matters. The mind no longer wastes energy on self-doubt, hesitation, or fear of failure, but channels it toward meaningful contribution and deliberate progress. In this way, belief in oneself transforms potential into reality, imagination into creation, and aspiration into achievement. Every action is imbued with direction, and every choice reflects confidence in capacity, producing a reality that mirrors internal conviction rather than external circumstance. The development of self-belief is both an art and a discipline. It requires patience, reflection, and the courage to confront limiting beliefs. It involves noticing and challenging internal narratives that diminish capacity, embracing growth through learning and experience, and continually reaffirming competence through intentional practice. The energy that flows from self-belief is dynamic, resilient, and catalytic, touching every aspect of life, shaping perception, guiding action, and manifesting intangible results that reinforce the original conviction. Perfection is a concept that often haunts our ambitions and clouds our progress, whispering that nothing is ever enough. Every effort is insufficient unless it meets an ideal standard. It creates an invisible bar that rises higher with every attempt, leaving us trapped in hesitation, fear, and self-criticism. Growth, in contrast, is fluid, adaptable, and life-affirming. It is the process of becoming, learning, experimenting, and improving over time. Focusing on growth rather than perfection transforms the way we approach challenges, setbacks, and even our own potential. It shifts the mindset from one of fear and limitation to one of exploration and possibility. When growth becomes the priority, effort is valued over flawless execution, learning is celebrated over judgment, and the journey itself becomes a source of fulfillment rather than a source of anxiety. Perfectionism often disguises itself as discipline. It is more accurately a form of self-imposed constraint. It convinces us that unless something is perfect, it is not worthy of effort, recognition, or celebration. This belief creates paralysis. We delay action, procrastinate endlessly, or abandon projects before they have a chance to mature. The pursuit of perfection becomes a trap where the energy intended for creation is consumed by self-doubt. By contrast, when focus is placed on growth, each attempt is recognized as a step forward, even if imperfect. Each error is not a verdict of failure, but a signal of opportunity, a chance to learn, refine, and move closer to skillful execution. Growth encourages courage, action, and perseverance, while perfection encourages hesitation, judgment, and stagnation. The mindset of growth acknowledges that mastery is never instantaneous. It understands that skill, knowledge, and wisdom accumulate gradually through repeated effort, feedback, and reflection. In life, no one begins at the peak of ability. Everyone starts somewhere, often with uncertainty, mistakes, and frustration. Those who focus on growth embrace this reality, celebrate progress rather than flawless outcomes, recognizing that each small improvement compounds over time into meaningful achievement. This perspective creates a positive feedback loop. Effort leads to improvement, improvement fosters motivation, and motivation fuels further effort. The energy generated by this loop is sustainable, empowering, and resilient, far more so than the fleeting satisfaction derived from an unattainable ideal of perfection. Focusing on growth also fosters resilience in the face of setbacks. When the mind is fixated on perfection, obstacles and failures are internalized as personal deficiencies. Every misstep feels catastrophic, and every criticism is a reflection of inadequacy. In contrast, a growth-oriented mindset views setbacks as natural components of the learning process. Mistakes become data, feedback, and opportunities for adaptation. Challenges become invitations to innovate, practice, and explore alternative strategies. By valuing progress over perfection, individuals cultivate a capacity to recover, adjust, and persist, strengthening not only skill but confidence, endurance, and resourcefulness. Growth transforms adversity into fuel rather than a roadblock, turning each difficulty into a catalyst for development. One of the most important aspects of focusing on growth is self-compassion. Perfectionism often drives harsh self-judgment, leading to chronic dissatisfaction, anxiety, and even burnout. Growth-oriented thinking, however, encourages kindness toward oneself. It recognizes that effort is valuable, learning is cumulative, and human beings are inherently fallible. By accepting imperfection as part of the process, we free ourselves from unnecessary pressure and allow energy to flow into exploration, experimentation, and genuine progress. Self-compassion reinforces motivation rather than undermining it, creating an environment where curiosity, creativity, and resilience can flourish naturally. Growth also changes the way we interact with others. In a culture obsessed with perfection, comparison and judgment dominate. People measure their worth against unrealistic standards or the curated successes of others, fostering envy and self-doubt. When the focus shifts to growth, collaboration, and learning replace competition and criticism. Progress is celebrated collectively, insights are shared freely, and mistakes are discussed constructively rather than stigmatized. This mindset creates communities of encouragement where mutual support reinforces individual development. By valuing growth, relationships become instruments of learning, collaboration, and collective advancement rather than arenas of comparison or judgment. Focusing on growth requires embracing experimentation and risk. Perfection seeks safety, demanding conditions be ideal before action is taken. Running through the park encourages action despite uncertainty, understanding that mistakes and iterations are essential components of improvement. It requires curiosity, courage, and a willingness to step beyond comfort zones. Each attempt, whether successful or flawed, contributes to development. Over time, the accumulation of these experiences forms expertise, insight, and confidence. Pursuit of growth transforms fear into energy, hesitation into decisiveness, and potential into tangible accomplishment. This mindset also fosters intrinsic motivation. Perfectionism is often externally driven, motivated by praise, recognition, or comparison. Growth, however, is internally motivated, guided by curiosity, learning, and self-improvement. The joy comes from the process itself, the engagement with challenges, the acquisition of skill, and the unfolding of capability. When focus is on growth, the work becomes meaningful regardless of immediate validation, and energy is sustained through personal satisfaction and commitment rather than external reward. This internal orientation produces resilience, autonomy, and creativity, allowing individuals to thrive in uncertain or challenging environments. Growth over perfection also encourages long-term vision. Perfectionism tends to prioritize immediate outcomes, evaluating success through rigid benchmarks. Growth focuses on trajectory, progress, and continuous refinement. It recognizes that mastery, innovation, and fulfillment emerge gradually. By valuing learning, adaptation, and incremental improvement, individuals cultivate patience and persistence. They develop the capacity to endure challenges, recover from setbacks, and pursue goals with consistency and clarity. Over time, this mindset yields not only competence but wisdom, confidence, and a profound sense of agency in shaping one's own life. Finally, focusing on growth cultivates a sense of empowerment. When perfection dictates action, the individual is constantly reacting to imagined standards, fear of judgment, or external expectations. Growth places control back in the hands of the individual. Every step forward, every skill developed, every lesson learned reinforces self-efficacy. The energy generated by this empowerment is transformative. It fuels creativity, strengthens resilience, deepens engagement, and encourages bold action. By prioritizing growth, life becomes a journey of discovery, experimentation, and fulfillment, where each day offers the opportunity to evolve, improve, and move closer to one's potential. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it, the willingness to step into uncertainty, and the readiness to embrace discomfort in pursuit of growth, purpose, and fulfillment. Comfort is familiar, predictable, and safe, provides a sense of security, but rarely offers transformation, learning, or achievement beyond what is already known. When we choose courage over comfort, we open ourselves to experiences that stretch our abilities, expand our awareness, and shape the trajectory of our lives. Comfort maintains the status quo, but courage drives progress. It is the quiet but persistent force that propels individuals beyond hesitation, mediocrity, and fear, guiding them toward meaningful accomplishment, personal development, and authentic living. Comfort, by its nature, is seductive. It lulls us into routine, convincing us that staying within the boundaries of what is known and predictable is the path of least resistance. It whispers that risks are unnecessary, challenges are avoidable, and growth can wait. Many people spend years, even decades, residing in zones of comfort, mistaking safety for satisfaction. While comfort may provide temporary ease, it diminishes energy over time, limiting potential and leaving unfulfilled ambition to fester quietly beneath the surface. Courage, on the other hand, disrupts that complacency, requires a deliberate choice to face uncertainty, to encounter challenge, and to confront the discomfort inherent in learning, experimenting, and evolving. By choosing courage, individuals reclaim agency over their lives, stepping into spaces where transformation is possible. Courage is essential because growth occurs at the edge of discomfort. The skills, experiences, and resilience we value most are rarely developed within familiar confines. They emerge when we push beyond habitual patterns, when we attempt tasks that test our limits, and when we persist despite fear, doubt, or criticism. Each act of courage creates momentum, reinforcing the belief that we are capable of more than we once imagined. Even small, courageous actions compound over time, building confidence, competence, and the capacity to face increasingly complex challenges. Comfort may provide temporary satisfaction. It cannot cultivate the skills, insights, or character that courage nurtures. Choosing courage over comfort also requires embracing vulnerability. Stepping into uncertainty exposes us to the possibility of failure, judgment, and discomfort. Yet vulnerability is not weakness. It is a prerequisite for authenticity and growth. Courage allows us to engage fully with life, risks that matter, and pursue meaningful goals, even when the path is unclear. It creates opportunities for learning, connection, and achievement that would remain impossible if we confined ourselves to safe spaces. By accepting the inevitability of discomfort, individuals strengthen resilience and adaptability, developing an inner resourcefulness that enables them to navigate complexity with confidence. Courage is deeply intertwined with decision-making. Comfort tempts us to delay, avoid, or settle, running through the park, keeping us within the boundaries of certainty and predictability. Courage requires decisiveness, the willingness to act in alignment with values, goals, and purpose, even when outcomes are unknown. Each courageous choice sends a ripple through life, shaping experiences, relationships, opportunities in ways that passive adherence to comfort never can. Courage compels action, transforms hesitation into momentum, and converts uncertainty into learning, adaptation, and achievement. Every courageous step reinforces the belief that we are capable of navigating life's challenges, that our potential is not limited by fear, and that discomfort is a necessary companion of progress. History and personal experience repeatedly demonstrate that courage beats comfort. Individuals who dare to step into the unknown, pursue aspirations against opposition, and embrace challenges despite fear are often the ones who achieve remarkable growth, impact, and fulfillment. Comfort, in contrast, preserves stability but rarely yields transformation. The energy generated by courage through action, risk-taking, and persistence is expansive. It fuels learning, resilience, and the pursuit of meaningful goals, providing motivation and momentum that comfort can never supply. Courage is dynamic and generative. Comfort is static and inert. By choosing courage, individuals align their energy with possibility, potential, and purpose rather than stagnation, safety, and limitation. Courage also reshapes mindset and perception. Fear thrives in isolation, feeding on imagined threats and worst-case scenarios. Comfort reinforces fear by encouraging avoidance, hesitation, and passivity. Courage confronts fear directly, recognizing it as a signal rather than a barrier. Each encounter with fear that is met with action weakens its hold, expands confidence, and cultivates resilience. The person who consistently chooses courage develops a habit of persistence, learning to embrace uncertainty and adversity with composure, clarity, and resolve. This mindset shift alters reality itself, transforming challenges into opportunities, obstacles into stepping stones, and risks into engines of growth. Courage over comfort fosters creativity and innovation. Staying within familiar routines limits perspective and diminishes adaptability. Courage encourages experimentation, the willingness to test ideas, take calculated risks, and explore possibilities that lie beyond conventional thinking. Innovation rarely emerges from safety. It emerges from engagement with uncertainty, trial and error, and the persistent effort to solve problems despite fear of failure. Individuals who choose courage cultivate an openness to new approaches, resilience in the face of setbacks, and the capacity to learn from mistakes, generating energy, insight, and outcomes that would remain inaccessible in a purely comfortable existence. On a personal level, courage also builds integrity and authenticity. Comfort tempts compromise, avoidance, and conformity, leading individuals to make choices that align with ease rather than values. Courage encourages alignment between intention, action, and belief. It demands honesty, accountability, and willingness to act in accordance with principles even when the path is difficult. By practicing courage, individuals create a life that reflects their priorities and aspirations rather than one dictated by fear, inertia, or external expectation. Courage transforms energy from passive maintenance into active engagement, producing a sense of agency and empowerment that comfort cannot provide. Courage is a practice cultivated daily. It grows through consistent acts of deliberate action, the willingness to face discomfort, and the refusal to be limited by fear or uncertainty. Each day presents opportunities to choose courage over comfort, to speak up, to take a risk, to learn something new, to confront challenges, pursue meaningful goals. These acts, even small, compound over time, developing habits of resilience, initiative. Proactive engagement with courage, once practiced, becomes self-reinforcing, creating momentum, energy, and confidence that spill over into every dimension of living. Choosing courage over comfort is not a single decision, but a continuous commitment. Comfort offers immediate gratification and temporary relief, but courage provides enduring growth, capability, and empowerment. It allows individuals to engage fully with life, face fear with confidence, and transform uncertainty into opportunity. Courage is a source of energy, momentum, and possibility, shaping perception, influencing action, and expanding potential in ways that comfort can never achieve. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as an act of excusing wrongdoing or forgetting the harm that has been done. but its true power lies far deeper. Forgive and release is not about condoning the actions of others, nor is it about denying the pain we have experienced. It is about reclaiming our own energy, freeing ourselves from the weight of resentment, anger, bitterness that can quietly dominate our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Holding on to grudges or past hurts is like carrying invisible chains, restricting our ability to move forward, diminishing our focus, sapping the energy we could otherwise invest in growth, creativity, and connection. Forgiveness, in its essence, is a conscious choice to release these chains, to unburden ourselves, and to restore inner freedom. Forgiveness begins with understanding. When we take the time to reflect on human behavior, we recognize that people act from their own fears, limitations, and experiences. Harm is often caused not out of malice, but through ignorance, misunderstanding, or unhealed pain. Recognizing this does not justify the actions that hurt us, but it allows space for empathy, perspective, and detachment. By reframing our understanding, we reduce the personal weight of the offense. Instead of holding anger as a permanent companion, we see it as temporary, situational, and ultimately a reflection of someone else's state rather than our own. Shift in perspective is the first step toward release, and it begins with awareness and conscious choice. Release is the act of letting go of the grip that past experiences have on our present and future. Often, we hold on to resentment or grudges because we feel they protect us, serve as reminders of justice, or validate our suffering. In reality, this emotional attachment creates a prison of its own. Energy that could be directed toward creativity, ambition, or joy is trapped in loops of rumination and bitterness. Releasing these emotions requires courage, self-compassion, and intentionality. It is a deliberate act of taking back control, choosing to no longer allow past wrongs to dictate emotional and mental states, and reclaiming the vitality that resentment consumes. Forgiveness is also an act of empowerment. By choosing to forgive, we assert that our happiness, peace, and progress are not contingent on the actions of others. We reclaim the narrative of our lives, refusing to be defined by past hurts, betrayals, or injustices. This empowerment transforms energy from frustration and anger into focus and purpose. When we forgive and release, we redirect mental and emotional resources toward growth, achievement, and connection rather than toward replaying past grievances. It allows us to engage fully in the present, unencumbered by the shadows of yesterday, to build a future that is shaped by conscious choice rather than unconscious resentment. Forgiveness and release are deeply linked to emotional health. Holding on to grudges, resentment, or bitterness has been shown to increase stress, anxiety, and even physical strain on the body. Chronic anger triggers the release of stress hormones that affect the heart, the immune system, overall well-being. By consciously choosing forgiveness, we reduce these internal stressors, calming the mind and body. Act of release is therapeutic, restoring equilibrium, promoting clarity, and allowing for a renewed sense of energy and motivation. Forgiveness is not passive, it is restorative. It is the process of cleaning the emotional slate, clearing space for positive experiences, creativity, and meaningful engagement with the world. Forgiveness is also essential for relationships. Carrying anger or resentment towards someone creates barriers, blocks communication, and often perpetuates conflict. By forgiving, we open the door to healing, understanding, and reconnection where possible, even when reconciliation is not feasible or safe. Forgiveness allows us to maintain inner peace, avoiding the corrosive effect of carrying negativity. It enables us to relate to others with compassion, empathy, and presence, free from the distortions of past hurt. Release transforms our perspective, allowing us to approach human interaction with clarity, balance, and a focus on constructive connection rather than lingering resentment. Forgiveness is an equally important aspect of this practice. Often, the harshest judgments we carry are directed inward. Mistakes, regrets, and perceived failures can haunt the mind, draining energy, confidence, and motivation. Choosing to forgive oneself does not erase responsibility, but it allows us to learn from errors without being trapped by guilt or shame. Release in this context is liberating. It frees mental and emotional space, allowing reflection, growth, and transformation to take place. When we forgive ourselves, we align with the principle that mistakes are part of the human experience, that growth arises from learning, and that we deserve the same compassion and understanding we extend to others. The process of forgiving and releasing requires conscious practice. It can be as simple as acknowledging the hurt, identifying the emotions involved, and making the decision to let go of their control over your life. Journaling, meditation, reflection, or mindful breathing can help cultivate this awareness. Some find strength in speaking forgiveness aloud, while others practice it internally as a personal declaration of freedom. The mechanics may vary, but the principle remains the same. Release the energy tied to past harm, reclaim your focus and vitality, and redirect it toward living fully and intentionally in the present. Forgiveness is not instantaneous. Deeply rooted resentment or trauma may take time, repeated effort, and patience to release. It is a process rather than a single act. Each day provides opportunities to forgive, whether through reflection, compassion, or reframing of events. Even when memories or pain resurface, recommitting to release restores equilibrium and reinforces the habit of prioritizing peace over prolonged suffering. Over time, this practice strengthens resilience, emotional intelligence, and the ability to respond to challenges with clarity rather than reaction. Release and forgiveness are ultimately acts of self-liberation. They reclaim the energy that bitterness, anger, and resentment consume and channel it toward life-affirming pursuits. They are affirmations of agency, reminding us that while we cannot control every action or circumstance, we can control how we respond. By forgiving and releasing, we embrace the present with clarity, intention, and openness. Energy that would have been consumed by judgment, regret, or resentment becomes available for creativity, growth, connection, and the pursuit of meaningful goals. This act is both transformative and empowering, shaping mindset, perception, and reality in ways that extend far beyond the initial act of letting go. Intentional action is the bridge between dreams and reality, the deliberate alignment of thought, decision, and effort that transforms vision into tangible outcomes. Many people wander through life reacting to circumstances, letting events unfold around them, and assuming that fate or external forces determine the course of their existence. While luck and chance may play a role, true destiny is shaped by deliberate choices and conscious effort. Every action, no matter how small, carries the potential to influence the trajectory of life. When actions are intentional, directed by purpose and clarity, they create momentum that builds over time, compounding into meaningful outcomes and shaping the very reality we experience. Without intention, action becomes random, energy is scattered, and potential is diluted. Intentionality ensures that effort is focused, aligned with values, and capable of producing results that resonate with long-term goals. Intentional action begins with awareness. To act with purpose, one must first know what matters most, what aligns with personal values, and what contributes to growth and fulfillment. Awareness transforms random activity into deliberate effort. It allows individuals to evaluate options, anticipate consequences, and choose paths that maximize impact rather than simply reacting to circumstance. When a person cultivates awareness, each decision is informed by intention rather than habit, impulse, or external expectation. This focus amplifies energy, sharpens clarity, and ensures that time and effort are invested in ways that create the greatest influence on personal destiny. Clarity of purpose is essential for intentional action. Without a clear understanding of goals, ambitions, and priorities, even consistent effort may fail to produce meaningful results. Intentional action requires a conscious vision of the desired outcome, combined with a commitment to align daily choices with that vision. Alignment transforms ordinary routines into steps that contribute to long-term objectives. Each decision becomes a building block, each effort a reinforcement of direction. The cumulative effect of these conscious actions is transformative, producing results that would be unattainable through sporadic or unfocused effort. Destiny is not the product of chance. It is the sum of purposeful actions consistently applied toward a chosen path. Intentional action also demands discipline. Clarity and vision are not sufficient without the consistent application of effort. Discipline is the ability to choose actions that align with purpose, even when immediate gratification is absent, obstacles arise, or motivation fluctuates. It is the capacity to prioritize long-term fulfillment over temporary comfort, to persist despite challenges, and to maintain focus when distractions abound. Every act of discipline reinforces intention, strengthens habits, and ensures that effort continues to flow in the direction of meaningful goals. In this way, discipline transforms aspiration into reality, bridging the gap between desire and achievement. The power of intentional action lies in its compounding effect. Small, deliberate choices accumulate over time, creating momentum and producing results that are far greater than the sum of individual efforts. Each intentional act is a step forward, a piece of the larger structure of personal destiny. The accumulation of consistent, purposeful effort transforms potential into capability, ideas into outcomes, and ambition into achievement. When action is unintentional or scattered, progress is slow, energy is wasted, and opportunities are missed. Intentionality ensures that effort is amplified, impact is multiplied, and the trajectory of life is shaped by conscious decision rather than external circumstance. Intentional action also cultivates resilience. Life is unpredictable, filled with obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected events. Without intention, these challenges can derail progress, leading to frustration, distraction, or stagnation. When actions are guided by purpose, setbacks are reframed as data, lessons, or signals to adjust strategy rather than reasons to abandon effort. Intentionality provides a framework for decision making in uncertain circumstances, ensuring that energy continues to flow toward long-term objectives rather than being dissipated in reaction to temporary disruptions. Resilience emerges naturally from this mindset, enabling persistence, adaptation, and the ability to maintain forward momentum despite adversity. Action guided by intention is also inherently empowering. It shifts the locus of control from external forces to the individual, emphasizing personal responsibility, agency, and accountability. When we act with intention, we recognize that our choices directly shape our reality. This understanding transforms how we approach life, encouraging proactive behavior, creative problem solving, and strategic planning. Energy is directed into creation rather than complaint, innovation rather than passivity, and growth rather than stagnation. Intentional action transforms the individual from a passive participant into an active architect of their own destiny. Intentional action influences relationships, environments, and opportunities as well. When we act deliberately, others perceive clarity, confidence, and purpose, which in turn generates trust, respect, and alignment. Intentional individuals inspire collaboration, attract support, and create conditions for mutually beneficial outcomes. Energy that is consciously directed toward meaningful interaction reinforces connection, builds influence, and opens doors that would remain closed in the absence of purposeful action. By acting with intention, individuals do not merely shape their internal reality. They impact the world around them, creating ripples that extend far beyond immediate actions. The practice of intentional action begins with reflection. Regular assessment of goals, priorities, and alignment ensures that efforts remain purposeful and adaptive. Intentionality is dynamic. It requires ongoing evaluation and adjustment as circumstances evolve. Without reflection, action can drift into habit, reaction, or routine, diminishing its effectiveness and impact. By reflecting consistently, individuals refine strategy, redirect energy toward what matters most, and maintain clarity of purpose. Reflection turns experience into insight, mistakes into lessons, and effort into progress. Intentional action also requires courage. Purposeful choices often demand stepping into uncertainty, taking risks, and confronting discomfort. Acting without fear, hesitation, or undue concern for external judgment amplifies the power of intention. Courage transforms vision into reality by enabling bold, decisive steps that create momentum and produce tangible outcomes. Strengthens resilience, reinforces alignment between values and actions, and ensures that energy is applied in ways that genuinely shape destiny rather than dissipating in indecision or avoidance. Intentional action is a lifelong practice cultivated through awareness, clarity, discipline, reflection, and courage. Each day presents countless opportunities to choose actions that contribute meaningfully to personal growth, fulfillment, and the creation of a purposeful life. Even small, consistent actions aligned with intention accumulate, producing outcomes far beyond initial expectations. Energy, focus, and creativity are magnified when directed by purpose, and the trajectory of life becomes a reflection of conscious choice rather than passive circumstance. By embracing intentional action, individuals cultivate empowerment, resilience, and momentum, transforming the possibilities of today into the realities of tomorrow.